Hi, I'm Josh Long. I'm one of the writers of Man Camp, playing here at the Austin Film Festival this weekend. So I was brought into the process a little bit later. Dan Cummings and Scott Cruz, who are our two other writers, had already had this kernel of an idea they'd been working on for a little while. They had a couple drafts done, and Scott, as a friend of mine, came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to take a look at this? See if originally it was just to give them some notes on it." Which I did, but I really loved the script. I was like, it's really funny, I love this idea, and I gave him kind of a big list of some notes that I thought could help with the script where it was at that point, and they liked my notes so much and like kind of the vibe of, I think we were on the same level in terms of comedy, and they asked, do you want to come onto the writing team? So then that became sort of the three of us became the team, and went through a lot of drafts that way. I think this script comes a lot out of the characters. There's three central characters who are these brothers. The story is these three brothers find out that their mom's dating a new guy that they don't think matches up to their old dad who had passed away, and so they decide they're going to try and prank him out of the family, so he just wants to get out of it. So those three characters and the new potential father character, most of the story is based around them and how they interact, how these three brothers interact and have for years, and what kind of a person this new guy is, and why that doesn't gel with their characters, and that's where the comedy ensues. It can be very easy to fall into the thing where you have a story that works very well, but just isn't funny enough. And fortunately, there's a lot of stuff, with a script like this, there's a lot inherent in it that is funny. The comedy of these kind of three dumb guys who are trying to play pranks on another guy. But it can be easy, like I said, to just write a script that hits all the beats, that structurally works and makes sense, but isn't funny. So that was one thing that I think was that was one way it was really great for us to have three writers. Then we could bounce jokes off of each other. We would each take drafts of the script and punch up some jokes and add in some things here and there, and all three of us were really focusing on like, how can we make this work stronger and be funnier and all that. It's a lot of revising, always. Every time, whether it be this one that I'm working on with co-writers or any of the things that I've written by myself, you always have to do so many rewrites, and it's frustrating sometimes. It's not always easy, but you come into a rewrite feeling like, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know how I can make this any better, but I know it's not working, and then you hit these moments of working where suddenly something clicks and you're like, oh, this is the better thing, and when you see that and go that way, you feel so much better. I will say for Man Camp at least, it's a little farcical at times, so that gives us a little bit more freedom to be a little sillier than people might actually be. And I think comedy in general does that. I think farce does that even more. This is somewhere between dramedy and straight up farce, so it's in that spectrum somewhere. But I think one way is that we presented a lot of extreme situations for these characters, so then when they get to act in extreme ways, it works, and the extreme stuff can kind of come out of the comedy naturally, and so there's, even though some of the jokes might be a little bit over the top, it's within a world where a lot of stuff that's happening is over the top, and so they are able to mesh together. I think some of a lot of our writing process was having times where we would Skype together, because we were in three different places a lot of the time, and so a lot of the moments when we would just throw jokes at each other, throw ideas at each other, it was always a lot of laughing. It was a lot of fun. I unfortunately didn't get to be on the set for the actual production, which, from what I've like any production, had its super fun moments and its super hard moments. So for me, the part that I got to be involved in, all just in the writing, I think that was a lot of my favorite part, was being able to work together, even though we're never in the same room, and just bounce stuff off each other. I will say, because they came to the story with me first, I can't really speak as the prime originator, but as part of the team that made that script, it's so much fun to see how it turned out, and see, maybe the most fun part about it is to see things that you weren't sure how they were going to work, and just see them land, and to see actors who really get the comedy and understand the jokes and bring more to it even than you'd written into it. That's so much fun. I think maybe from this film specifically, I'd say learning how to write as a team, because that's something I hadn't done as much before. I'd written a lot of scripts myself, and from this one I think I learned that having a team, especially with comedy, gives you that ability to constantly have people to bounce things off of. When we write a script in a vacuum, a lot of times then once it's done, or at least some version of done, taking it out to people, try to get them to read it and get that feedback, because that feedback's so important. And to have that immediate feedback of we're three people all looking at the same thing right now and say, no, that joke's not funny, yes, that beat works if we do that, let's try and, you know, add these things together or change these things. I found that was super helpful, specifically with comedy.